All right, well, the time is 5:30. I'd like to call this city council meeting to order. I will be running the meeting today because Gary's on vacation, so I typically run one meeting a year, so bear with me. So first of all, we have an invocation from the River Church.
Agenda, Chad. So,
Sorry.
you've already screwed up. You're 2 minutes into it. So.
First order of business, to approve the council agenda and any additional agenda items or corrections.
Mayor, Council, I don't have any additions or corrections for you.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we got a motion from Dave and a second from Tim. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Now we have the invocation from the River Church.
Thank you, City Council, faculty, all of our police and fire rescue workers. Father God, we just thank you right now, Lord, for this privilege, Lord, to come into your presence. Father, we thank you for your wisdom tonight. Lord, we thank you for direction upon every decision made. Lord, that you would just lead us and guide us, Father God, into all truth. Father God, Lord, I thank you for protection upon all of our city officials, Lord, upon, again, our first responders, rescue workers, police. And Lord, that you would always be glorified in everything that we do. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Next, we have the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have recognitions of gifts, donations, and community service to the city. We have a resolution number 15905, a resolution accepting a $1,000 donation from Glenn Kurth for netting at Veterans Memorial Field.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion from Pat and a second from Dave. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, next we have citizens addressing the council. If you have anything you want to talk to the council about, now is the time. Chief Giverson.
Good evening, Council. As you said, I'm Chief Tom Gifferson, and this gal to my right is Christina Castellano. She's our newest hire, and since I was appointed chief, it's been my kind of habit or tradition to introduce all of our new officers. That's why we're here tonight. She comes to us from Worthington, Minnesota, where she worked as a police officer there, but I also grew up there as well. So I'll give her a few moments to say anything if she wants to. Otherwise, feel free to ask her anything, and I mean anything. But other than that, I just, like I said, just wanted to introduce you to.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Boy, they took it easy on us.
Yeah, you got off pretty easy. Had a list of questions, but for time's sake.
All right, next we'll have approval of minutes. We had the strategic planning session of August 26th, 2025, the budget workshop of August 26th, 2025, and the regular meeting of August 26th, 2025.
I'll move to approve all three of those in one motion.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion by Tim and a second by Dave. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion pass. All right, next we'll have the consent agenda, and these will all be approved in unison unless somebody wants to pull something off. Agenda item A is consideration of approval of resolution number 15906, a resolution approving the airport maintenance and operations grant agreement with MnDOT. B is the consideration for approval of resolution 15907, a resolution accepting bid and awarding contract letting number 5, project number 2505, the airport hangar repair project. C is the consideration for approval of issuing a temporary liquor license to the Hutchinson Chamber Foundation on September 18th, 2025 at Arts Place. D is the consideration for approval of issuing short-term gambling license to Gopher Campfire Sanctuary on December 3rd, 2025. let's see, E is the affirmation of board representatives, Steve Hahn to the Airport Commission to September 2028, and Andrew Hedin to the Airport Commission to September 28th. And then F is claims, appropriations, and contract payments, Register A. Anybody want anything pulled off? Okay.
Motion to approve consent agenda 1.
Okay.
Second.
We got a motion by Pat and a second by Dave. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have consent agenda 2, claims, appropriations, and contract payments, Register B. I will abstain because I did a bike repair for the police department.
Then I'll move to approve. Second.
All right, we have a motion by Tim and a second by Pat. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion opposed. Motion passes with me abstaining. All right, so we have a bunch of public hearings that will take place at 6. We will skip down to agenda item number 13 within the unfinished business.
Just Mayor and Council, the reason we're skipping down to 13 is that 12 needs to take place after item number 11, and so kind of have to go in order here.
So we will have a second reading and adoption of ordinance number 25859, an ordinance of the city of Hutchinson vacating the alley of block 41, north half of Hutchinson.
Okay, good evening, council members. If you'll recall, last council meeting I was here and presented regarding the vacation of the alley that needs to happen for the redevelopment of the landing project. So this evening, we're just looking for the second reading and approval of that ordinance.
All right, is there any discussion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion by Tim and a second by Dave. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, agenda item number 14, approve or deny the second reading and adoption of ordinance number 25860, an ordinance of the city of Hutchinson vacating the right-of-way sanitary sewer easement located at 126 Franklin Street Northwest.
Yes, this is the same as the last item. In order for the redevelopment of the landing site to happen, we need to vacate that sewer easement. The sewer will be relocated for the project, so I'm recommending approval of the second reading of this ordinance.
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, so we have a motion by Dave and a second by Tim. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. We have no new business. Under governance, we have the minutes from the Hutchinson Library Board meetings from June 23rd, 2025. B, we have the Planning Commission meeting minutes from April 15th, 2025. And C, we have the Planning Commission meetings from July 15th, 2025. All right, miscellaneous, we're kind of cruising here, but
Yeah, like I said, we're going to probably have to even recess maybe to
Right.
6 o'clock. So.
unless staff really gets wordy here, but let's see, Matt.
The only update I have is just a reminder, as we talked about at our budget workshop meeting, but the fall cleanup day is a week from Saturday, so that's Saturday, September 20th, and just to make sure you have your items out by 6 a.m. that morning. And once again, this is just for the residential properties in town, the single-family apartments and multifamily are not included, and or the commercial. But that's Saturday, September 20th.
Okay, thank you. Mike, would you have any updates on our street projects?
We're in great shape on, so nothing to report since the last.
All right, everything's all wrapped up. All right, now your council mayor updates. Pat, we'll start with you.
Alright. We haven't had any meetings since the last one, but this weekend, I believe, is the Arts and Crafts Festival, if I'm not mistaken, Chief Jefferson. So traffic will be cautious because it'll be filled up. It's also a Taste of Hutch. So it's a lot of great things for people to come visit the town and be patient with the driving and parking.
All right, thank you. Dave.
No, he stole all my thunder, so
Sir.
I'll back off of that.
All right, and Tim.
I think the Sustainability Committee will be meeting on October 6th, if I'm not mistaken. So that'll be, I'm sure, full of a lot of new information on the water flowage and all that. So we'll be up to date on that. At the library, they had 408 kids, 58 teens, children, teens, and 60 adults that were in the summer reading program this year. So that was a pretty significant advance. They've got a lot of things going on over there. The arts thing, I know the fire department is having their open house, and I'm going to get the date on that
It's
wrong.
this Saturday
It's this Saturday, okay.
from 11 to 2. Saturday.
I'm trying to keep balance between life, and life, but yeah, it's this Saturday. The fire department always does a spectacular community event over there, shows their new equipment, child safety, planning your fire route for your family. We are getting into the winter, carbon monoxide, all those other things. So just stop by the fire department this weekend and thank them for the work they do in this community, because most of them are volunteers. So that's what I have.
All right, thank you, Tim. I did not have anything extra tonight. So Matt, are we best to do a recess?
I would recommend to council, it's 5:42, that we need a motion and a second to recess until 6 o'clock.
So made. Motion.
All right, we got a motion by Pat and a second by Dave to go into recess until 6 o'clock. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We will see you at 6. All right, well, we need a motion to go back into the meeting.
Motion to reopen the meeting.
Second. Go ahead, Dave.
All right, we have a motion by Pat and a second by Dave to reopen the meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We're back. All right, so we have three public hearings. The first one is for the Dale Street Southwest improvements, letting number 1, project number 2501. There we go. Yeah.
No, thank you, council members. This will look very familiar because we had done this last year back in November, but having had a three-fifths membership, we needed to have at least a 4/5. So we got to redo this resolution tonight on both of these hearings. So wanted to provide that precursor as to why you're seeing this again. We'll have another version of this, but for next year's projects coming up in a month or two. So this is, again, a redo of. So I'm going to just do a quick rehash, really, of the projects we just completed. This first one being Dale. Again, this was a full-depth reclamation, a lot of partial curb gutter, spot utility work of water main, sanitary, and storm, and then restoration of this project. Again, just finished up here in the last week or two and opened up for business here right before school started, right at the end of August. Here's again kind of a summary of the project limits were Roberts to South Grade. Quite a bit of work at that South Grade and Dale intersection itself, but a little bit more information, which also included the pedestrian flasher that was put at Linden, excuse me. And then we added the left turn lane at that South Grade and Dale intersection. So rebuilt the road, as we talked a little bit during the budget workshop tonight. This was a state aid road, so built to those standards also. So a little bit beefier road section than we might see. Working with Andy, these are our latest numbers, so these are a little bit different than what we would have presented last fall, or actually this spring when we would have given the revised. These are the actual numbers now that we're anticipating. So a little bit different split. You'll still, over on the right-hand side, see the municipal state aid contribution, which pays a good majority of the project, along with water, wastewater, stormwater on it, and then assessments covers the great majority of it. So be happy to answer any questions you might have. Otherwise, we'd be looking for a motion to support the resolution.
Motion.
First go into an actual public hearing and then
Yep.
close.
Well, aren't we? We're in the public meeting now, right?
So, yeah.
So does anybody from the public have anything?
And then we need to actually close the public hearing.
Yep.
So,
All right, nobody, no comments?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Pat and a second by Tim to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And then we have resolution number 15903, a resolution ordering improvement and preparation of plans and specifications.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Pat and a second by Tim. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, next public hearing, we have the 2025 street improvement projects, letting number 2, project number 2502. All right, Mike?
All right, and again, very similar. So this covered our Hassan Street improvements, improvements also on First, Third, Sixth, Seventh, and Stony Point. Again, full depth reclamation of this project. This one finished up in early August. Included again, curb, gutter, and spot repairs on the water, sanitary, and storm system. Stony Point did receive a little bit more substantial work, which included edge drains being added, which in evaluating that project is what kind of led to the premature deterioration of that street, in that we had a lot of excess drainage just from soils there. So this project addressed a lot of that project. So you'll see more of the specifics of kind of by project itself. Again, Hassan covered everything from Oakland all the way down here to MITGI, so a very long stretch. We took out a number of ash trees, including some other poor structure trees, so a lot of tree removal and replacement along there. And then a little bit of spot work other than the road surface itself at First, Third, Sixth, Seventh. And then, as I said, with Stony, some spot sidewalk repair and replacement, more so just to install that edge drain. Again, like the first project, these are the updated numbers. This is not anything involving state aid, hence the separate letting. So this one reflects more of our bonding and then the assessments and then the utility splits itself. But these are our updated numbers there. So again, entertain any questions. Otherwise, we'll look for a motion.
All right, do we have any comments from the public? If not, looking to close the public hearing.
Motion to close public hearing.
Second.
We got a motion by Pat and a second by Dave. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Then we have, let's see, resolution number 15904, a resolution ordering improvement and preparation of plans and specs.
Motion to approve resolution number 15904.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Pat and a second by Tim. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, last but not least, we have Miles. We have the modification to the development program, development district number 4, and tax increment financing plan, and establishment of tax increment financing district number 4-24, a housing district.
Okay, good evening, council members. I'm going to go into a little bit of a detail here, and then as I go along, certainly feel free to stop me at any point and ask any questions, or if there's any points of clarification that would make sense, I'd be happy to do it. The resolution in question, it's got a lot of pieces to it, so I'm going to step through all of that and make sure everybody's on the same page here. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview of the project, about the landing. For the benefit of the public watching at home, I'm going to give a little bit of the history of how we got here, what the project is, where we're going. I'm going to explain a little bit about tax increment financing and how it works, and then I'm going to step through all the pieces of this resolution because it's got 6 different pieces to it. So, okay, the project in question it's called The Landing. So that's going to be 81 market rate apartment building. That's going to get constructed on the north end of Franklin, right next to the river. This will be, it's a 4-story building altogether. So, I mean, the first level is just parking, ground level parking that people will be able to drive into, and then there's 3 floors of apartments above that. The goals of this project, and this has been a project that's been developing for a long time. It's been a long project. One was remove blight and redevelop the site, and I'll talk more about that. We wanted to provide needed market rate housing because we have a tremendous shortage of housing in Hutchinson, so we're trying to deal with that. And then also we wanted to do something to strengthen downtown and get more people in and around the downtown. So the location, as I mentioned, 126 Franklin Street North, basically it's the block, Glen Street on the west, Franklin Street on the east, from First Avenue northwest up to the river. So that's the city block that we're working with. This all began in 2016, a long time ago already. But it began when the EDA was looking at opportunities to promote redevelopment, get some blight taken care of. There used to be an old medical office building on the site on the east half of the block. And you can see from the pictures, I mean, the roof was literally caving in. Nothing was happening with this. It was just plain blight. It was just blight. And so we made an approach to the owner, worked a pretty good deal, a pretty low price comparatively to acquire the whole thing. And so that east half of the block there, that's almost an acre by itself. So we bought that, demoed out that building, kind of set the stage for redevelopment. Once that was done, then we were approached by FEMA at the federal level, and they said, well, we have this grant program. It's designed to get properties out of the 100-year floodplain because FEMA wants to be proactive. Let's get these families out of the floodplain on the front end rather than be responding to some disaster on the back end. So we had applied for a grant, got the grant, and that allowed us to acquire those 3 houses and have them removed. And then at the same time, the owner of the middle house, he actually owned the 2 on the south side of the block that were just rentals that he had. And so we thought, if we're doing this, let's just get the whole block cleaned up. And so that's where the city council came in and helped us a lot with some ARPA dollars to help us clear the entire block and set the stage for bigger, broader redevelopment project. This thing has had a long history. So we started in 2016 with a different TIF district. 2016 to 2019, we had met with some developers. There was a proposal that was made. At that time, they made a proposal just for a very light redevelopment, is like just 3 or 4 townhomes or something like that. And we didn't follow up on that because we were aiming for higher, highest and best use of the site. We want to get density. So we had to kind of hold out. Then FEMA came to us, like I mentioned. We put together that application, got that turned in. 2020, pandemic strikes. We did come up with a developer from that RFP, and so we were working through the process with that developer. Then our FEMA grant got delayed because the county, they didn't have one of the requirements of the grant was that there had to be a current county emergency management plan adopted and on file. And as it happened, the McLeod County plan had just expired. They had to go back to the drawing board, start over, drop a new one, go through the approval process. So that delayed us 18 months right there. Finally, in 2022, we got the FEMA grant finally approved. Then we spent a year working with property owners, purchasing properties. They were great to work with. A lot of work there, but eventually we were able to purchase all 5 houses, have those folks relocated. They actually moved up. They got into better housing, so good for them. And then we had the 5 houses removed. One of them was recycled. The HRA, Judy Fleming, and her team took that and refurbished it and set it up for another family, so that was good. Then in 2023, the original developer we had lined up backed out because he thought, well, I just cannot make this work because of material costs, interest rates, all these things. So then we're kind of back to the drawing board again. So we drew together a new request for proposals, sent that out. Last October, had received 3 different proposals. You remember that, went through the process, picked GC Real Estate Partners to do the landing. So that's how we got to where we are. The actual true story is way more convoluted than that, but that gives you a glimpse of what we've been doing with this thing. So, where are we going? The landing, like I said, 81 units. Here's kind of the site plan, just sort of a reverse L kind of looking thing. And just a couple of things I'm going to call out. It's going to be, you know, altogether it'll be 4 stories tall. So it's going to be a little bit taller than the neighbors. It'll have some really interesting features on the southeast corner of it. There'll be a patio up on top for the residents, so they'll have a rooftop patio hang out on. And then on the north side of the property, between the building and the pond, there's another outdoor patio and a fire pit and stuff like that. So that'll be pretty cool. Parking outdoors, you can see. And then there'll be a fenced-in dog park, stormwater pond. And then as part of this, the city's taking advantage of the opportunity to make some little improvements to Glen Street on the north end. Years and years ago, it used to be a boat landing in there. And so that's going to get curb and gutter. It's going to get curved off so it looks nice. And then there's a stormwater pipe that sticks up through the street somewhat, and that's going to get fixed. So it'll all get tuned up. I think that's about it. Any questions about this so far? Okay. Like I was sharing a little bit earlier, this is the biggest single project in downtown Hutchinson ever. This is going to be $20 million investment in downtown Hutchinson. So the economic impact of this is going to be big, right? You're going to have construction labor. You're going to have a whole bunch of local contractors, electricians and plumbers and sheetrocks and finishers and painters and all kinds of people working on this thing. A lot of materials are going to obviously go into this thing. Once it's built, it's going to be consuming supplies and energy for a long time. So that's going to be a big deal. And then it's going to have it's going to ultimately increase the tax base once the thing goes back on the tax rolls. And so I'll come back to that later. 81 unit apartments, if you figure 1.5 people per unit, that's another 122 people or so living pretty much smack in our downtown. And those folks are going to want to go out to eat, and they're going to want to find an ice cream cone, and they're going to want to go to the movie theater, and they're going to go to the fitness center. The economic impact here is going to be pretty darn significant, and there should be a noticeable, tangible difference in Main Street Hutchinson once this thing is built, because those people are going to want to run around and do things. So that'll be fun to see. Like I said, the EDA in the city, this is one of the ones where, how can I explain it? People, you know, sometimes they wonder, what does the Economic Development Authority do for a living? What does the city do for a living? Well, we do all the stuff that most people just think magically happens. And so for this particular one, it was purchasing that clinic site, it was demoing a building, it was writing a grant. The application for that grant is about 2.5 inches thick. Negotiating with property owners, removing those houses. There's about 1 million little steps in that process. Just typing up and putting together a request for proposals and getting that shoved out for developers to look at. That's a process. Dan Jokum was up here a little bit earlier. We're going to be moving a sanitary sewer pipe. We've got to put in a stormwater pond. We're going to make improvements to Glen Street. We're going to be doing this housing TIF district here a little bit later. Ultimately, we'll sell the lot to the developer for $1, assuming the council agrees. 1 million little things that go into making this kind of a project happen. The public financing tool that we're using is going to be tax increment financing, a housing version of that. So I'm going to kind of step through a little bit of that, what it is and how it works, and that's mostly for the benefit of the folks at home. Before I do that, any questions about the project? All good, okay. Okay, let's talk about tax increment financing. So, some key points. The goal here is to create rental housing, market rate, and then some housing for low to moderate income households too. So there'll be a lot of people that will benefit. We're going to set up what's called a TIF district, and that'll have a certain time, a term that it lasts for, and I'll talk more about that later. The maximum term is 25 years. For this particular project, it's going to be about 16 years, and then we'll shut it down. And I'll talk more about that a little bit later. And then because it's a housing TIF district, there's a requirement that a certain percentage, in this case 20% of the apartments, so that'd be about 16 apartments, 16, 17, must be reserved for tenants with incomes at or below 50% of area median income. So there's a low income component to this as well. So how does this thing work? One of the key things that folks need to understand is that the owner of the project, the owner of the landing, they're going to be paying property taxes. They're going to pay property taxes just like everybody else. And the way that TIF works, you start off with a bare piece of ground like you see, and that bare piece of ground, it's going to have a lower estimated market value because there's nothing on it. And because of that, then there's just a smaller amount of property taxes get paid. And so for sake of example, this is not the actual number, but just for example, maybe it has an estimated market value of $10,000, and then it pays $1,000 in property taxes, just for illustrating. Those property taxes get divvied up between the city, the county, the school, a couple other little jurisdictions, but basically it just gets divided up amongst the taxing entities, the layers of government. When we put a TIF district in place, that original amount of property taxes, that's kind of frozen in place. So even with the TIF district in place, the city's going to get the same amount that it has for these last several years. The school district gets the same, the county gets the same. That's all kind of locked in place. When we build the landing and $20 million project, let's just pretend it's got an estimated market value of $10 million. It's going to pay a lot more in property taxes. Let's just say it's $100,000. So a lot more money coming into play. So estimated market value increases, property taxes paid increases. Again, it's the owner, they're paying their property taxes just like you and I do. So then we look at box in lower right, we got the new property taxes, $100,000. We subtract off the original property taxes, which was the $10,000, and then that difference is the tax increment, $90,000 in this example. That $90,000 then, that gets routed back into the project. That goes back to the developer. So in essence, the developer is paying to put the money into the bucket, and then the money comes back out of the bucket, goes back to the developer to help make the project work from a financial perspective. Developers, they do these things because they're in the business of, like anybody else, making money. I mean, it's an investment. It's just, they do it to get a certain rate of return. You can buy stocks, or you can buy an apartment building, or you can build an apartment building. In any case, you want a certain percentage return on your investment. In this case, that's where the tax increment's going to go, is help make the developer get his return that he needs to have in order to get him to do the project. If we didn't do it, the project wouldn't pencil out, the rate of return wouldn't be there, he wouldn't do it.
So maybe explain how we know that. And the developer, I'm talking about the
Good,
platform.
yes.
So.
Okay, that's good, very good. The city has their financial consultants, Ehlers and Associates, and we work with them very closely. And Ehlers, they're the real financial wizards on all of this stuff. So they will look at all the financials and the pro formas from the developer to understand, okay, how much revenue is the project going to generate, what are the expenses, and what's the rate of return. So they actually look at the numbers to determine, okay, how much tax increment dollars need to go into this thing to make it work. Because we want to get him to his normal rate of return, say 7%, and then we put in that appropriate amount of dollars to make that happen. And again, those dollars are actually the ones the developer himself pays. They just kind of go into the bucket, and then we return a certain chunk to make the project work for him financially. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Key points, again, developers paying the taxes, it's not taxpayer dollars. Just not in there. The but-for test, which is kind of what I talked about, what we want to do is we're just making sure that but for the public assistance, the project does not happen. So we test that. The but-for test, it kind of serves two functions. It verifies that the developer really needs the assistance to make the project work, and then it determines the amount of that assistance. So we don't just give them a blank check, or we don't give them everything. We just give him what he actually needs to make the thing work, and not anymore. And then again, like I mentioned earlier, the original frozen amount of the property taxes, that's still going to school, county, city, just like it always did. When the TIF district expires, then that higher level of property taxes, that bigger amount, then that gets divvied up between the city, the county, and the school. So everybody's going to see a bump when this is all done. So what we're proposing, we're going to sell the lot to them for $1. We're going to provide tax increment financing assistance up to this $1,287,000 plus interest, and that's the number that Ellers calculated. So $930,000 of that, that's just to get him to his 7% rate of return. That's what makes a project worth doing. Another $332,000 is going to help make the site shovel ready, because we said we would do this as part of our part of it, make the soil correction. So we're just going to pay that, and then $25,000 there for sidewalks. And then the way the numbers are predicted to flow, the TIF district should fall off at the end of about 16 years or so, goes back onto the tax rolls, and away we go. And then also it's what's called a pay-as-you-go TIF district. So that means every year the developer's paying his property taxes, and it's only that amount that we take from to be able to route back to him. So it's never an obligation by the city on any part. If he doesn't pay his property taxes, then there's no money in the bucket. We can't pay him. So he's gonna pay, and then we're gonna send some of it back. Any questions so far? Okay. So as part of tonight's resolution, there's 6 different chunks. So part of it is just establishing TIF District 4-24, the housing TIF district, and approving the TIF plan for that district. That was included in your packet. That's basically what I've been explaining here for 10 minutes. So any questions about that? Okay. Next chunk is just to approve an interfund loan for the district. And this is more of just an administrative thing. It just authorizes the city to use some dollars that we have on our side to just pay for some administrative costs. And then we'll reimburse ourselves later out of the tax increment. We just got to pay attorneys and TIF people and all this stuff to put this all together. So not a huge amount, but it just makes that, it just gives, you guys just give us the authorization to do that interfund loan. Next one would be to develop, authorize execution of the development agreement. So that's just giving staff permission to sign the paper with the developer. Item number 5 is just removing a parcel from TIF District 416. So I'm going to have a picture to show you. This is what we did years ago as we set up TIF District 4-16, which was a redevelopment TIF district. So basically we're going to just take this big square on the left where it says Hutchinson, and that's just going to get removed. So TIF 416 is going to shrink. And then the parcel that we removed, and that's just going to go into this new TIF district 4-22. So we're just making that official. Any questions about that? Okay, last piece then is just authorizing forgiveness of an interfund loan for TIF 4-16. So years ago, many years ago, this would have been before 1990, I think. There was a redevelopment TIF district on the north end of downtown. It was the Shopko TIF district. That was part when Shopko was first built and Econo Foods was first built. There was a number of substandard properties that were removed at that time. And then Shopko came in, Econo Foods came in. That was all a redevelopment TIF district. And so all the obligations for that had been met, but then Shopko was still paying into it. So there was kind of a balance that grew up. And then years ago, those dollars were there. And then we thought, well, we can use them to help front some of the costs for this redevelopment of that block, of the block that we're talking about. So we just used the Shopko TIF dollars for that. The original concept was that we were going to use those Shopko TIF dollars that were just sitting there to do things and then repay it from a future TIF district. But then as we got further into it, it just got super complicated and it just turned out to be impractical. And then since then, the city auditors have been telling us, hey, we should just cancel this out. The dollars were used the way they were intended. The original obligations were all met. Everything is good. We should just get this off the books. So basically, that's all it is. We're just going to forgive an interfund loan of these Shopko TIF dollars that had been there from long ago. Any questions about that? Okay. I think really that's it on the presentation side. The last part, I guess, I just want to make, this was an all hands on deck total team effort on the part of city staff. I mean, there were countless meetings. Dan Jolkin's not here, but he just did a fantastic job of navigating the whole process, because it's complicated to do all these things, to try and figure out, okay, how can we do this type of project on this site? And then he just did a fantastic job finessing things with the DNR, because that could have been really difficult, but he got that all worked out. Mark did a fantastic job. Mark and I, umpteen meetings in his office. How can we do this? And how can we finesse this? And I mean, it was everything from negotiating property acquisitions and how are we going to make FEMA happy and how do we do this deed restriction thing, and the list just goes on and on and on. Matt was fantastic because, you know, every time we kept bouncing into some problem, brainstorming session in Matt's office, and we'd get Andy in there and Matt and myself and Dan, okay, how are we going to figure this one out? Mike did a great job helping us because as part of this, I mean, Newvera's got a fiber optic line that runs down the middle of the block. That's got to get moved. There's a sanitary sewer lane that's got to get moved. There's a stormwater pond that needs to get built. So that was a huge help. I mean, just fantastic. Lynn Newman did a great job because I needed somebody to cut the grass on that thing. And she said, sure, we'll get that for you. And just didn't complain. Just, hey, we're on the team. Let's do this thing. Andy was great because I don't know how many times I go see Andy looking for money.
It's always looking for money.
Right. And he always found a way, right? We can do this or we can do that. And, you know, we make this all work. The finance team was great because, again, it's just financial questions. What kind of offer do we make to get this clinic building? What makes sense? Can we lowball them? How do we get these houses? And all this stuff, a lot of creativity. EDA board of directors was fantastic because they just said, keep going, keep going. You know, we had one obstacle after another, after another, after another. You guys were there, you've lived it. Let's just keep going. Let's figure this out. We can do this.
It's going to be weird not talking about this project once it's done.
I know.
EDA meetings.
I know.
I mean, every meeting since 2013.
It's going to be a big gap in our agenda. Yeah.
We'll have to think of something.
We'll think of something.
Yeah.
City council's fantastic. If we didn't have ARPA money to help make this thing work, we wouldn't be here right now. Your guys' support's just been phenomenal. Can't do this stuff without you. And I think just everybody. Melissa's a big help. I call her up hunting for some weird thing and she finds it. So, I mean, it just goes on and on. So just total team effort. Kudos to everyone. We're here. The biggest project in downtown Hutchinson history is right here. So thanks to everybody. Any
Kudos to
questions?
Miles for being the project lead on this project as well.
Right.
So,
Any questions about anything? No. Okay. If not, I guess questions from the public or whatever.
open up for public comment.
Another sellout crowd.
All right, well, thank you, Miles. All right, we'll open it up for public comment. Having hearing none, we're looking for a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All right, we got a motion by Dave and a second by Pat to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And then for the record, I think this is the longest resolution that we've had since 2008. As long as I've been involved, this is going to be the biggest motion or resolution. So, all right, resolution number 15908, a resolution approving the adoption of a modification of a development program for Municipal Development District number 4, establishing tax increment financing district number 4-24 within Municipal Development District number 4, approving the tax increment financing plan, therefore authorizing an interfund loan for tax increment financing district number 4-24, authorizing execution of a development agreement, approving the elimination of a parcel from tax increment financing district number 4-16 within municipal development district number 4, and authorizing the forgiveness of an interfund loan for tax increment financing district number 4-16.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion from Pat and a second from Tim. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
So Miles, I think the big question the public's asking is, when's this project gonna start?
I talked with the developer. I think they're looking about September 22nd to start digging over there. And I think 12 to 15 months probably construction time. So a year from now, we should be looking at something pretty radically different down there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah,
Back to unfinished business. We have the second reading and adoption of ordinance number 25858, an ordinance for the sale of municipally owned property to Hutchinson, The Landing LLC.
Okay, just very simply, this would be, we have to sell property in the city of Hutchinson by ordinance. We did the first reading ordinance 2 weeks ago. This will be the second reading and adoption. This will just authorize the city to sell this city block, well, 3/4 of a city block, to the developer for this project.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion from Tim and a second by Dave. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Like I said, I wanna, give kudos to Miles, he's been the project lead on this, but I think this is a perfect example of professional staff working together with elected boards and committee and appointed committees to hopefully have a very huge impact on a community and in the downtown. So I'm really excited to see what this does for Hutchinson, for the downtown area, and obviously for housing. We know there's a huge need for housing. This is almost a drop in the bucket for addressing those needs, but it's still a help nonetheless. So.
All right. Looking for a motion to get out of here.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion by Pat and a second by Tim to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're done.
Thanks, everyone.